But yeah, for me, it was a long time before I could even see a little drop in numbers. And then I decided I'm going to take medication right away. There's always tons of rumors about vaccines for HIV. There's rumors about actual healing of HIV.
Hi and welcome back to my show, On Air with Ocean. We are here with episode 10 now, and I have the icon, the legend, my idol, Barbie Breakout.
Hi.
Hi. Barbie is an author,
An activist. A drag queen.
And tell me what you do.
I'm non-binary. I'm a bottom. No.
That's all the information you get.
Yes. My name is Barbie Breakout. I am 43 years old. I am an activist. I talk a lot about HIV on my podcast. Also, I have 3 at the moment. TADA. I wrote a book about my life. It's called Tragisch aber geil 2.0 and it's available only in German. So, sorry. That's what I do.
And all you do is incredibly professional and everything is so good. I listen to her podcast. Bartschatten and Tragisch aber geil. I listened to both of them.
Yeah.
But the third one, Too Old to Die Young.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't listened to that one, but the others.
It's good. It's like queer culture upbringing for those kids of you who are too young to remember all of them.
Bartschatten is about
RuPaul's Drag Race
Drag
season
Race
13.
with Conchita Wurst. And
Yes.
it's amazing and it's so
Thank you.
funny every time. Like you can watch the whole episode and then you can listen to their episode and you think, okay, have I really watched the episode? It's so lovely to have you here, and we want to talk a little bit about HIV today. And of course, we want to know, how did you infect yourself? What's the story behind that?
Well, I didn't do it myself. I had help. I contracted it in 2005. I got fucked by somebody without a rubber. He didn't come inside of me, so I didn't think it was much of a problem at the time, even though I knew better, but I was high. So I found out in 2006 that I was actually positive. I didn't mean on getting tested necessarily. I wasn't worried about being positive too much. I went to the now famous Club Berghain and I ran into this couple that I knew. One of them was HIV positive. I guess I was trying to flirt a little bit. So I was like, hey, so how did you find out that you are HIV positive? It was really bad. It was flirty, but he kind of told me, yeah, you know, I had those lymph nodes all over my body that did, like the swelling didn't go down. And I was like, oh, so you want to check out my lymph nodes? And he did. And while he was like touching me in several places, he was some kind of like homeopathic healer or something. So he had training. He was like, oh, so not to freak you out, but maybe you should go and get a test just to be sure.
So you did it the day after?
Yeah. I went home immediately. I went to McDonald's, got a big tasty. And then I went home and made an appointment to get an anonymous test with my regular doctor. And I mean, at the time it was 2006, right? So in Germany, still the law was pretty much if you contracted just getting regularly tested, the doctors had to report you immediately to your health insurance. And that meant that you couldn't change your health insurance anymore. And it also meant that you couldn't get any other, like you couldn't get a life insurance, for example. Certain things were just not available to you anymore. And so I just wanted to do an anonymous test to make sure that everything was fine. And it wasn't. So, yeah.
I mean, you talked about that in your book, that the situation at the doctor was really, really weird. Because, like, of course, we know that when we're sitting in the waiting room and everyone's, like, talking and you think, like, oh, that's about me. Like, that's about me, oh. The doctor you talked with had, like, a weird reaction.
Well, she was kind of giving me the news kind of bluntly, which is a German thing. I mean, I get that. But then there was, like, no empathy and no follow-up information. She was just, like, sitting there looking at me. And I was like, okay, aren't you supposed to tell me something? And she's like, aren't you supposed to ask questions? And I was like, okay, cool. I guess I'll see a specialist then. I already knew who to talk to because my ex-boyfriend had been diagnosed. I had been with him at the doctor and he went to a specialist and it was amazing. Like there was empathy, there was information. He calmed him down. He took away all of his like, you know, paranoia and all of that. So I knew that that was possible, that that was something that I wanted now. So I was trying to leave, or I left. and I was outside trying to clear my head a little bit, and then the receptionist, they came running after me, and they wanted me to sign a form basically saying that I was okay with it, that she would report me to the health insurance, which I wasn't, because that's why I got the anonymous test. And she was like, yeah, but you're like, you're risking that I lose my career, and I don't want to fuck up my career just because of you. And it was really like, I thought I was here to, be taken care of, and instead I got like bamboozled, and which was a good thing because it made me angry. I didn't feel like a victim for a second. I was like, those bitches. It was not pleasant. It was not how those things are supposed to go down.
Yeah. So you would recommend to always talk to a specialist?
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why those people
are there.
Yeah. And I mean, first of all, they have the best information available. Second of all, they deal with those situations every day. So they know what it means to you when you're sitting there, and they know how to empathize and what to say and what not to say. So yeah, definitely.
So what happens when you are infected with HIV is that the HIV virus is getting into your body and it's getting into the CD4 cells, and the HIV is copying itself and destroying the CD4 cells, which kills the immune system cells. And so if you get a cold, it can get really, really bad. Every time you get sick, it can be really, really hard for you. And that is what happens with HIV. But you can get a medication.
Well, I mean, there's a long time between getting the infection and the point where any cold can basically turn into pneumonia.
How long is it?
It depends from person to person. For me, it was, I mean, I didn't take medication for over 11 years, and my body was handling it just fine.
Yeah.
My CD4 count was over 700. My viral load was under 100,000. So there's people, the body handles it differently. The viruses are different. But yeah, for me, it was a long time before I could even see a little drop in numbers, and then I decided I'm going to take medication right away. But if I had a new infection today, I would immediately take the medication and not even take the gamble.
Why did you not take the medication when you started?
I mean, I had my first positive boyfriend when I was like 14 or 15, so I had seen a lot of people suffering from early medication.
Yeah.
People didn't know what to take, and so they were like experimenting around. And a lot of the shit, especially like AZT, a lot of the shit that they were taking was making it actually worse, or it had horrible side effects. Maybe it was helping, but the side effects were terrible. So I had a lot of respect. And the other factor was that I thought, it was magical thinking. Part of me thought that if I just wait long enough, it's going to go away, or my body's going to find a way to not be affected by it. And then eventually I was like, what am I trying to prove, and who am I trying to prove this to? I just started taking the pills, and I think 2 weeks after I was already undetectable, which means I cannot pass it on anymore. I cannot infect anybody else. I wish I had started earlier with the medication, to be honest.
Yeah. In order not to get HIV, you can definitely use PrEP, you can use condoms, of course. But if you had a risk contact, you can take the PrEP.
Yes.
That's that.
It's like the pill after for gays. Or for anybody with HIV, it's not just a gay issue, obviously. And you take it, I think you have 72 hours after the risky contact to go to your doctor and get it, and then you have to take it for like a month. And then the risk of actually contracting it is significantly lower.
Okay. And about your medication, you take pills every day?
I take one pill every day.
Yeah.
It's called Biktarvy. I have zero side effects, to be honest. I have nothing.
Yeah.
I just take one pill a day and that's it.
Yeah.
They just released it in Germany. I don't know about the rest of the world, but there is things called like a depot injection. You get your medication for either 2
or 3 months, I guess.
2 or 3 months, yeah. And you don't have to take a pill every day then. For some people who are still affected by having HIV, for them, taking a pill is a traumatizing thing every day, because it reminds you that, yes, there's something inside of your body that's trying to kill you. I don't have that at all. I don't care. I mean, I care that I have it, but it's not like I don't care taking the pill.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it's an option.
Great. When you got your result that you're HIV positive, did you have a lot of support of your friends or family, or how did that work for you?
My friends were very supportive, but they were all really affected by it, which is lovely. But I kind of needed like somebody to lean on, like a rock. And my friends, I felt, were just too affected by it. But I also have this thing about not wanting to be anybody's problem. So yeah. No, my dad, actually, we didn't have a really close relationship for most of my life. There was always a lot of distance there, I felt. But he totally came through. When I contacted him, I told him what had happened. And I was like, okay, send him an email. I was like, okay, this is what happened. I know you're going to be upset. I know you're going to be mad at me for not taking better care of myself. but I need you now.
Yeah.
And if you could be there for me, that would be amazing. He did. He called me immediately and took, I think, a week off work, visited me in Berlin and stayed with me, went to the doctor with me, got schooled, got all the new information, and was amazing.
Yeah. So you would suggest to friends who know people, for example, which just got the result that they're HIV positive, to really show support and not to be always like, oh, I'm so sad and everything like that.
I mean, sometimes empathy comes off as pity. Like, I had this friend and he visited another friend in the hospital who was there because of pneumonia, because of HIV.
Yeah.
All my friend did was like sit there and cry. It's like, you're not actually helping him. Like, you're just reminding him that something terrible is going on in his life. And this might feel like you're doing something great, but you're actually not. I would try not to be that friend. I would try and be a friend that acknowledges what you're going through. Say, yes, this is life-changing and we need to, educate ourselves what this means.
Yeah.
But at the same time, try to be there and see how they want to handle it. If they want distraction, distract them. If they want to, if they want to laugh, make them laugh.
Yeah.
Cook them food.
Yes. Food.
All of the good stuff. But I also learned, and I have to say this, I learned recently that my generation's trauma when it comes to HIV and the generations before, the trauma that we collectively experienced, I have to be really careful not to pass it on to a new generation, because people who get infected now, it doesn't mean as much. Mm-hmm. It means that, yes, you're going to be on medication for the rest of your life. You are chronically ill now, but that's it. Like, if you take your medication and if nobody takes your access to medication away, if you live in the Western world, you're going to be fine. You have a virus now that's very controllable.
Yeah.
You can't pass it on if you take your medication, so still be careful.
It was definitely a different time if you got infected in the 80s or 90s, or if you got infected now.
Yeah.
You had, was he a friend, Napoleon?
It was, we weren't friends at the time, and I only saw him this one time. Mm-hmm. He died right after. He was an icon for me because he was an author, and he was a little guy from the south of Germany who moved to Berlin early in the 80s, contracted HIV, refused to be quiet about it, refused to be a victim, and he wrote a book called Schweine müssen nackt sein. And I think my mom gave that to me Christmas, I want to say 94 or 95, something like that. And I read it, and it was kind of like, it felt like a warning of what my life in Berlin could be like if I'm not careful. Hi. But at the same time, it felt like a world I wanted to live in. And I kind of identified with Napoleon. And I moved to Berlin, joined the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, which is a great international queer nun order that take care of people with HIV. They collect money for HIV causes. They spread information and condoms and stuff. And I joined them, and they were friends with Napoleon. And Napoleon invited us to his apartment for a little tea because he had some news he wanted to share. And I was super excited because I was going to meet my idol. I was like, oh my God, we're going to be best friends. I walked in and there he was, and he was super sweet. And I think his lover was there, and we were like hanging out. Everybody was having tea and like biscuits and stuff. And then he got up and he was like, okay, so I'm going to announce something. He already had a big coffin in his living room. And he said, well, yeah, I decided. So long story short, I decided to stop taking my medication because I don't want to live anymore. And we were all shocked. Everybody was like, can we talk you out of this? And he was like, no, my life is great. And my life is not going to be better, I think. Medication's not working anymore. And my levels are just getting worse. And I'm freshly in love. Just sold the rights to my book, the movie rights to my book. I think this is the highest my life can be and will ever be again. So I decided to stop when it's good because I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore. And I couldn't take it. Like, this really fucked me up. And he saw that, and he was like, because we had talked for a little bit also about the book and how much I loved him. And he was like, come with me. And he grabbed my hand and we went into his kitchen. And it was, instead of wallpaper, I mean, it still had wallpaper, but instead of like images or anything, it was just, people had used it as a guest book because he was throwing all of these lavish parties in the 80s with everybody there. Everybody had used it as a guest book. They just signed their name and said something funny or whatever. And he showed me those walls and I still didn't get it. I still didn't get what he meant. And he's like, look at those names. And I was like, oh my God, it's Hildegard Knef and it's da-da-da-da-da. And it's like all those big names. And he just smiled at me and said, they're all dead. They're all dead. And then I got it. And yeah, not all of them died from HIV, but most of them did. But it was just the collective trauma in this room, and that's weighing on those tiny men's shoulders. I finally understood. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna shut up. Yeah, and he stopped taking his medication, and he was dead, I think, a month after, maybe 2. Yeah. We were lucky in Germany. We were lucky because we had our Minister of Health, Rita Süssmuth, did amazing things back in the day. And she made sure that we were treated differently than, for example, in the States where nobody really cared. And we were kind of still demonized, and people, were thinking about actually building camps for us. Also here in Bavaria, they were talking about it. But if you imagine what it was like back in the day when Das große Sterben, the big death, happened in America, 8 out of 10 people in the big cities were just vanishing. They just disappeared. That's trauma of a different generation. And I think it's important that we keep talking about it now that we're so lucky. We have the medication, we have, a different outlook on life, but it's important we keep talking about it.
So thank you for sharing this story with me, with all of us. What we had now with the COVID situation is that there's a vaccine for it, but is there any, let's say, rumors about it that there's a vaccine for HIV?
There's always tons of rumors about vaccines for HIV. There's rumors about actual healing of HIV. There is, the press, they like to write clickbaity articles about it because it gives them traffic, and people like to post these things on because it sounds like a sensation. Most of the time it's bullshit. The situation with the Berlin patient and the London patient, both people who were accidentally cured of HIV, that makes for a great headline. But at the end of the day, what actually happened is that both were like terminal cancer patients, and this kind of massive surgery during radiation, during chemotherapy, blah, blah, blah. And they did some kind of treatment to what's inside of the spine. I don't know the English word right now, so hey. Which has such horrible side effects that a lot of terminal patients who are dying of cancer choose not to have it because it's so bad. The press made it sound like this is a viable option for people with HIV to get a cure. You just have to get this treatment done. It's clickbaity headlines like that make me sick. But there is, in terms of vaccination, there is one thing that seems to be a promising, the way that they built the Moderna vaccination, they are trying to apply the same principle to HIV, to the HIV virus, and establish and try to build a vaccine upon that. But we don't know if it works or not.
Yeah.
But I get like messages every day that people are like, oh my God, they found a cure. Oh my God, there's a vaccine. And I'm like,
so don't believe everything which is online.
Yeah.
But you can believe all of this episode, of course. Thank you, Barbie. We just want to sum up for a second what you can do for prevention, what you can do if you get infected. Like for prevention, use condoms, take PrEP. If you had a risk contact, take PEP. Stay safe, try to stay safe.
Talk to people. Have a conversation.
Inform yourself, just not this video, all of it. So thank you, Barbie, for being here.
My pleasure.
It was wonderful to have you here. Follow Barbie on Instagram. Follow Barbie everywhere where you can follow her on her website, www.barbiebreakout.com.
Yes.
Buy her book, even if you can't speak German.
Yes.
You can also listen to the book.
Yes.
You can
buy my podcast, wear my merch.
All the merch, everything. Just
check out my YouTube.
Yeah, just
go to my MySpace page. No.
On your YouTube, there's a lot on your YouTube.
I know.
I just checked the YouTube, not just checked the YouTube. I, of course, adore her YouTube since 30,000 years.
Yes, I'm not that
I am
old.
alive. Support Barbie, follow me, follow Taimi up, subscribe to this YouTube channel, and comment down below everything. If you have any questions, comment them, or just comment them. Thank you. Barbie, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Same here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.